1013.
The top of the hour is presented by Best Buy Metals, making the top of your house the best it can be. Visit bestbuymetalroofing.com.
It's time for The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3, presented by Hardees. We will bring you nonstop sports news from the national and local scene and everything in between. So buckle up and join in on the conversation. It's The Drive.
Don't take no style.
Welcome back to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland 101.3, Thursday edition. I'm Andy Morris along with Jim Gum. Got our guy E back in the building. Nice to have an E appearance every once in a while. Good to have you with us, E.
You know, I try my best to make it here because, I enjoy this. I really do.
And you miss us.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
I mainly miss Jacob right now because he's not here.
I was about to say it worked out for you. Jacob is not here today.
Yep.
Well, he's getting prepared because he's going to get out on the softball field tonight and make an umpire mad at him, get ejected, get thrown out of the game.
Might as well have fun while you're playing. Am I right? Might as well have fun while
Listen, these guys have been over here exchanging war stories from their softball glory days.
I love slow pitch softball, men's adult league softball. I love it. I do. I was involved in it for 30 years, I guess, either as a player or an umpire, and sometimes doing a little bit of both. But I didn't even know that he was out there playing. He said, you asked him what he's been up to. He says, baseball and softball. I said, softball? He goes, yeah. So adult league softball. I said, all right, I love it. He played over there at the Summit. You ever been at the Summit in Noodlewall?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. So they won a tournament out there, and that's a great place. But we've got some good softball venues here, and obviously Tinsley Park's getting renovated.
Get a little bit of a facelift.
I can't wait for that place to reopen. So, I'm excited to see E involved in some softball.
Speaking of Tinsley Park, Jim, are you a pickleball guy?
I'm not, but, man, everyone says that. I loved it. I loved playing tennis, okay, when I was younger. And they said, if you like playing tennis, you will love playing pickleball. I've just never done it. I've never tried it, but I'll bet you I would love it. Yeah,
pre-ACL meniscus injury, I played a little bit, and it's a lot of fun. It really is fun. I can easily see how it's addicting. Once you get out there and play, you want to keep playing. But unfortunately for me, I did play tennis in high school for a while and would play for fun on the side as well once I was done, and really enjoyed tennis. Unfortunately for me now, when I did play pickleball, my athleticism did not help me at all. And now, pre-injury, I'm thinking maybe I'll be a little bit better pickleball player because I got beat up. Me and Adam Raines, head wrestling coach, head track coach at Walker Valley High School, entered a tournament as beginners. And they said, hey, we only got like 2 teams of beginners. Why don't you guys just go ahead and play in the advanced? You've got a tennis background. You guys are athletic. We're like, okay, yeah. We got wore out by a couple of dudes that were probably 75 years old. And we were looking at each other like, what are we doing?
And if I know you and I'm like this, and I'll bet he's like this, I don't play just to have fun. I play to win. And that's sometimes a fault of mine. I play to win. I do not like to lose. I'm not a sore loser. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But man, if I'm going to play something, I'm going to play it because I want to. There's a reason they keep score.
You can still have good sportsmanship and still get a little flustered that you're getting your butt kicked. And I promise, I might have said a few words out there on the pickleball court that I wouldn't normally say out of frustration. Like, are you freaking kidding me?
I mean, listen, it is what it is. And it's so funny when you're playing a team sport, and I prefer team sport, but even in baseball or softball or whatever, it's still one-on-one, pitcher versus you, okay? Football is the ultimate team sport because you can't do anything without your teammates. In baseball, when you're in the batter's box, the guys in the dugout and the guys on the bases, they really can't. It's still a mano-a-mano type deal. It's kind of like wrestling. You're on a wrestling team, but it's you versus that guy. Now, in golf, which is different, it's you versus the course. Obviously, when you're playing another guy,
it's you versus yourself a lot of times.
Yeah, but you're still paying attention what your
there's no doubt
shooting.
No doubt.
And it does make. Should I play conservative here? I need to go for this because I'm 2 strokes behind with 5 holes left. I got to do something crazy, and it makes you play differently. But every sport, the reason they keep score is because you want to win. Maybe that's a flaw in me. But that's how I've always been, and I don't regret being like that. I don't apologize for it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of winning, around 5:40, we're going to have Bradley Central head football coach, the all-time winningest football coach in Bradley history, Damon Floyd, on today, again at 5:40. He's going to join the show. Excited to talk about some Bradley Central football. Those guys, I tell you what, playing some good ball right now. Kenyon Phelps. You got to hang out with that young man, didn't you?
I did. I got to hang out with Kenyon Phelps today. He's the Express Screen Printing and Embroidery ESPN 101.3. Wow, that's a mouthful.
It's a lot.
Player of the week, Kenyon Phelps, 14 carries, 82 yards, 2 touchdowns, all in the first half, by the way. 49-0 victory over Hardin Valley. And, of course, they're at Farragut this Friday. And, of course, that win over Hardin Valley was a region win.
That is.
So they're 1-0 in the region in a very difficult region. By the way, I had to ask Kenyon Phelps. I said, man, you think you guys can win this region? He goes, man, it's going to be tough. He actually mentioned Maryville and he mentioned Oak Ridge. He did not mention Cleveland. And I said, hey, you're forgetting one.
That's funny. Listen, that's true rivalry right there is what that is.
Yeah.
Not going to show each other some love. But, and that's one thing I think that this is a Bradley team who's figured out who they are. They have an identity. Same when you look at the improvements that Cleveland has made. I think they're starting to figure out, you know what, we're a young team. We're not a very deep team. We don't have a lot of experience, but we're figuring out, hey, we can get in there and hit you in the mouth and play some football. And that's what they're doing, and they're hanging around in games that a lot of people think they probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, we talked to Coach Brown on Monday, and there's no doubt they're better today than they were 3 weeks ago. There's absolutely no question in my mind about that. But you're right, the depth factor is an issue. That's the one thing that they really are lacking is that depth. So, guys get wore out, and if you get dinged up, the guys coming in off the bench aren't quite the level that you would like. But, hey, they're doing their best, and they are playing better football.
Well, I can tell you what would be an absolute game changer for Cleveland High School football, and it would be if Ephraim Kyle was out there at receiver and they're just throwing them jump balls all day.
You really think so? You really do?
Like, I've seen you pick the baseball.
Yeah. But, I played back in 8th grade football, and that was like begging my mom to play because she's scared of like concussions and injuries and everything like that. I was an outside linebacker at about 5'7", about 125 pounds.
Rock solid coverage guy.
Yeah, if you say so. I was told I was going to get all the snaps against Lake Forest, right? Our quarterback played over me. Our quarterback is kind of like a D1 athlete. He was Blake Lundy back in the day. He was at Baylor now, catcher, big guy. But our quarterback played over me. It's rough. So then I never played again.
Listen, I know Blake. He's an athletic young man.
Yeah. So I didn't feel too bad.
All I'm saying, though, is just the charisma that E carries. That's a game changer right there.
I can give some moral support, probably not physical support, but some moral support I can give.
So you're more cut out on Friday night to be painted up and screaming and waving a flag around a little bit, getting the student section hyped up?
That's exactly what I'm doing.
If I could go back and do it again, I was not a big guy in high school. I wish I'd have tried kicking and punting. I never even thought about it. I said, if you just get out there one summer and just kick, you'd get the hang of it. And I think I could have, done that or maybe kicked field goals.
That's funny you say
that.
But
I never did that. And I've regretted it.
My dad always had my brother and I out throwing, and of course we were quarterbacks and stuff. I eventually transitioned to wing back, tailback, and he constantly, like, we wanted to throw. He said, yeah, you guys need to learn to kick the football. I'm just telling you, if you can get good at punting.
Or long snapper.
Yeah, if you can get good at kicking. And we're like, nah, we're not going to be a kicker. We're not, we didn't want any part of it. Now looking back, it's like, man, look at some of these kickers. Buffalo Bills kicker, how old is he? Like 40?
Yeah, he's 42.
Yeah, like 42, 43.
He kept in shape by kicking at a local high school.
But he's still kicking.
And he kicks the game-winning field goal. Man, his time expired.
He's in the NFL hitting game winners. Yeah. So I should have listened to my dad.
Yeah, of course, nobody thought about this. Be a long snapper because you really aren't allowed to hit the long snapper. Field goal kickers and punters, because if they hit you, it's a penalty. Man.
Yeah, it was Matt Prater.
Yeah. So you know what? Hey, if you're out there listening, or even if you got kids and they're not very big, let them get out, buy them a football, and say, kick this thing, kick field goals, try punting. You never know.
Teach them to swing the golf club a little bit. That's another one.
I'll tell you what. If you have a daughter, and maybe she's not the greatest softball player of all time, or she's lacking this. Get her a set of golf clubs. Man, they are giving out scholarships left and right at the collegiate level for golf.
It's so funny that you bring that up because I had a conversation today with Walker Valley assistant football coach J.D. Dunbar, and he's got some daughters that are athletes. One's in college in track and field. I believe she's a shot put thrower, and we're talking about all the different scholarship opportunities out there for young ladies, and between golf and girls wrestling and now flag football.
Flag football will be huge.
Those three are massive. There are so many opportunities not only to go get your education at the next level, but to get your school paid for. So definitely highly encourage, if you're a girl dad and you're listening to the show, you're a mom listening to the show, get your young daughters involved in one of those sports because, listen, if they're a little bit tougher, hey, get them out there on the wrestling mat. If they're very coordinated, have good hands, get them out there flag football. If they got that laid-back personality, get them out on the links.
You know, that's one of those things where you talk about, females in wrestling and the flag football. Those are relatively new sports to girls. Those things didn't exist 10, 15 years ago. Those are a thing now. And so they're still in its infancy. So you don't have to be an absolute stud because they'll develop you. But if you get something, you've got an opportunity for a scholarship. Sign my daughter up all day. Obviously my daughter's way too old now, but that would have been a thing back in the day. I think that'd have been fun. Wrestling, football, or flag football, I should say.
Yeah,
that's cool. I think it's cool that those sports now exist.
And listen, when you're talking about the state of Tennessee, this is the girls' flag football hub right here between our three local high schools. Pretty solid flag football teams. Of course, Walker Valley made it to the state finals. Cleveland was not far behind. They battled with Walker Valley in their meetings, and Bradley as well. Yeah. So it's a huge growing sport.
I got to tell you something. It's so funny how what we're talking about right now. Let me explain where I was today. I was in McMinn County most of the day, up in Athens, doing some stuff up there. We just joined the Chamber of Commerce up there, so I was talking to a guy named Rob Preston. We're up there talking, and I'm over there. I'm prospecting for business,
growing the brand,
trying to grow the radio station up there. So I'm listening to 99.1 here, which is the oldie station. Well, if you get up to Athens, it flips over to a Knoxville station. I'm just going to leave it at that. They literally talk Tennessee, Georgia for the entire 3 hours. And listen, I get it. It's a big game.
We talk ball here.
But, man, I mean, it was – I guess up there, there's nothing else but Tennessee football. Nothing else. I'm like, and I get it to a certain point, but, man, there's other things going on in this world of sports.
Yeah, if you think about it, we're really in the ideal spot because –
this is a mixing bowl.
Oh, there's so much between – Knoxville, obviously, with the Tennessee Vols. Mm-hmm. Nashville with the Titans and the Vanderbilt Commodores. Mm-hmm. Atlanta's right down the road. Chattanooga right down the road. We're in Athens, Georgia, right down the road.
Tuscaloosa, not that far. We've got Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee in football or collegiate athletics. The Braves, Falcons, Titans. Do we talk much Atlanta Hawks? I guess we could. But we've got all these sports around here. But, man, I'm so glad we get to talk a variety of sports and everything because, man, I don't think it would be as fun to just sit there and talk about the Tennessee-Georgia game 5 days a week, all this week.
For every waking
for every minute you're on the air.
And we know we've got a lot of Tennessee fans listening to the show. We got a lot of Georgia fans, and that's been the hot topic this week. I completely understand that. We have fun covering it, and of course we are going to talk about it a little bit more today.
Yeah, we got some. If you want to go there, we've got an opportunity today, don't we?
That's right. You want to go ahead and get that out there?
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up. Good segue there. Tennessee Valley Federal Credit Union. Obviously, we do their Tennessee Ticket Tuesday. Well, now. Breaking news here on the drive. TVFCU Tennessee Ticket bonus giveaway.
Bonus!
We've got 2 more tickets. And for your chance to win those 2 tickets to Tennessee, Georgia this Saturday, all you've got to do is text the Volunteer Ridipest phone line at 423-749-1013. That's 423-749-1013 for your opportunity to win 2 tickets to the Tennessee-Georgia game up at Neyland Stadium this Saturday. And I believe you're also going to get 2 free Hardees combos, some Tennessee T-shirts. Can't beat that.
I'm telling you, it's a great deal. This was one of those things. We gave some away earlier in the week, and we just came across 2 more. So we're like, hey, instead of giving them to Jim and Andy, we'll give them away to our listeners.
That's right. They said forget those guys. Hey, again, though, shout out to Eric Alexander, who was our winner for our TVFCU Tennessee ticket Tuesday. Eric and a buddy or somebody getting to go up to the game with them. Going to be a great experience, and I think a very fun ball game.
And it's supposed to be perfect weather too.
We're gonna dip into the 70s. Do we know yet?
No, I think it's supposed to be in the 80s on
Okay.
Saturday. I mean, I guess the forecast could change, but the forecast I saw earlier today was upper 80s, maybe even hitting the 90s. Little warm.
It's a little warm.
But it's still technically it's summertime. It doesn't turn fall until a week and a half from now. So
I do want to go back to high school football for just a second. Again, all high school football coverage here on the Drive presented by Food City. You mentioned Kenyon Phelps.
yes.
And so one thing that I figured out, I don't know if you knew this or not, we actually doubled up this week on our Players of the Week because due to Labor Day last week, we kind of missed a week, didn't get one out there. So also our ESPN Cleveland Express Screen Printing and Embroidery Player of the Week, Chase Stevens, quarterback from Walker Valley High School. And I made a joke, and it's straight up dad joke. I talked to him today. And I said, hey, there he is. I said, you know what they call Pitbull, right? And he looked at me like confused. He was like, no. I was like, Mr. 305. He goes, oh, yeah, I've heard that. I said, Mr. 503 right here. And like you could tell.
503 yards.
503 yards.
Yeah.
He thought it was funny, but he's like, dude, that's such a dad joke. But
500. Listen,
that's impressive. 5 touchdowns.
That's a record that just might stand for a long time. You don't see any level of football throwing for 503 yards. But think about how much more difficult it is in high school. How long are your quarters? 12.
Yeah.
They're not 15 minutes. They're 12 minutes. So you lop off 12 minutes from a game as opposed to a 60-minute game. 503 yards. That's a record that just might stand for a long
and that's
time.
another thing. You almost have to have a shootout for that to even
Yep,
be
that's
possible
right.
because you're going to get that running clock. If you're scoring that many points,
Yep.
typically, luckily, stat-wise, luckily for him, McMinn, they showed up and played a little offense. Of course, they had the 4 big turnovers in that game. But, yeah, that's one of those things that it's hard to get even close to that. Last time Walker Valley had done that was 2017. So it's been a few years. It's been a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I know to me and Jim that feels like, a couple of years ago.
Exactly.
But he's over here. He's like, dude, I was in elementary school.
Feels
What are you
like
talking
an
about?
eternity,
Yeah. So it's all about perspective. You'll learn as you get older there. But
So yeah, good for these two guys to get those commemorative football. That's a cool trophy, by the way.
It is.
The
The
football
drive-
with their names on them. I think it's really, really cool.
shout out E, figuring things out. He's
Sorry,
back, baby.
That's on me. I was just trying to tell you guys to go to break without telling you to go to break.
That's it. It is. We're at the 5:18 mark. We can go ahead and go to break. What do you think, Jim?
Let's go to break.
Hey, one more time. TVFCU Tennessee ticket bonus giveaway. All you got to do is text volunteer Ritapest phone line at 423-749-1013 with your name and TVFCU tickets. We'll be right back here on ESPN Cleveland 1013.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Hardees is hiring. Join the Star Team. Flexible scheduling, daily pay, free meals, 20% family discount, plus paid vacation for part-time and full-time employees. Apply in-store or online at hardees.com today.
This is Alfonso Reviso, General Manager over at Crown in Cleveland, your local Jeep and Ram dealership.
Cleveland Tire Center for over 45 years with the best name in tires: Bridgestone, Firestone, Goodyear, and Michelin. Northley Highway, Cleveland. Cleveland Tire Center, where the name says it all.
Southern Heritage Bank has been serving Cleveland for 25 years and celebrates our past, present, and future. Have you visited our newest location at the Pi Center? The Pi Center, Partners in Industry and Education Innovation, is an impressive educational facility preparing students for the future, and we are happy to be part of it. But not only are we serving students, this Southern Heritage Bank location is here for our entire community. Stop by 2285 Parker Street Northeast to visit our full-service branch. Southern Heritage Bank, a division of First Citizens National Bank. Member FDIC.
This is Thomas Williams with Mountain View Nissan of Cleveland. Stop by today and take advantage of Bradley County's largest pre-owned inventory. or visit cleveland-nissan.com, home of the lifetime warranty.
The absolute best deals are located at Deal Days. Everything in this store is $7 on Saturday and Sunday, $5 on Monday, $3 on Tuesday, and $1 on Wednesday. Located next to Planet Fitness on APD 40. Other locations are in Chatsworth, Calhoun, and Cartersville. That's Deal Days. Do you suffer from unsightly leg veins? Are your legs turning brown or swelling? Do your legs feel heavy, tired, or achy? Do you have restless legs or leg cramps disturbing your sleep? These symptoms are signs of bad veins. Dr. James Gooden at Milligan Vein offers an office treatment that can make you look and feel better, and your procedure is covered by most insurance. Find more information online at milliganvein.com or call Dr. Gooden today at 423-961-5682 and get rid of those bad veins.
You bleed orange. You never miss a Vols game. But when's the last time you showed that same pride in your smile? At Magnolia Dental Center of Cleveland, we treat every patient like it's 4th and goal. Fast, tough, and no-nonsense care. Just like the way Tennessee plays. Cleanings, repairs, full-on restorations. We'll get you back in the game. Magnolia Dental Center, proudly serving Vol Nation, one winning smile at a time. Call 423-476-3307 or visit magnoliadentalcenterofcleveland.com to schedule an appointment today.
Listen up, Cleveland. The wait is over. Josh Porter here with Optimize You, the region's #1 hormone replacement clinic. We specialize in both men and women's hormones and are so excited to finally be here in Cleveland, ready to serve you. Find us online at OptimizeYouCenters.com. That's OptimizeYouCenters.com.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Duracell in Cleveland is now hiring mechanical skilled technicians, $22 to $27 an hour. Excellent benefits beginning day one: medical, dental, vision insurance, paid vacation, holiday pay, 401k, tuition reimbursement, and more. Apply now at Duracell.com. That's Duracell.com.
Tell you what, he's definitely back. He's bringing us into the good music, the little bumping, get a little rhythm going there.
That's what I do.
We appreciate you, E. Listen, there's a point in time where E had his own T-shirt made because of his impact here on the show. As a matter of fact, yeah, it's right
Still
back
in the
there.
corner, yeah, it is.
In E We Trust. Shout out Josh Rogers for getting that done. And
How about that?
one thing I can tell you is that Jacob Mason's not ever getting a T-shirt done for his efforts on this show.
He doesn't even have a nickname. He doesn't have E. He doesn't have producer. He doesn't have anything.
Slim Money.
Oh, Slim Money.
He got
Oh,
Slim Money.
Is it easier to say in E We Trust or in Slim Money We Trust? You know, that won't
Yeah.
fit on a T-shirt.
Yeah, a little bit more catchy just throwing the E out there.
Exactly.
Glad to have you back with us, E. and of course, as Jim likes to say, Jacob and I are like an old married couple. We like to
They
go
are,
back and
man.
forth with
Yeah,
each other.
I hear that on the Walker Valley broadcast too, right next door. So
We have a good time. We're all about having fun. But aside from having fun, on a serious note, if you listened to yesterday's show, the first segment was tough for all of us, obviously, with everything that took place yesterday with the assassination of Charlie Kirk up there at Utah Valley University. It was an emotional day for a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. And more importantly, the loss of human life is something that we all should take very seriously, regardless of what political beliefs are.
Absolutely.
And those things should be condemned. It's mind-boggling to me to think that in any way anyone celebrates something like that. It breaks my heart knowing the community that we live in and how well we treat other in the city with spirit right here in Cleveland, that people can have that approach. And between that and then, of course, today is 9/11 in remembrance of September 11th, 2001, all the lives lost pointlessly during that. And then Irina Zarudska, the Ukrainian.
Charlotte.
Yeah, over there in Charlotte, the loss of her. And, of course, the shooting, he reminded us in Evergreen, Colorado, Evergreen High School in Colorado. There's so much going on that just is gut-wrenching right now that it amplifies to me the power of those things that kind of pull you away from that. The things that pull your attention that we need, like the power of sport.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what sports is all about. It's an escape mechanism. You escape the reality. You follow a football game or you follow this sport for a few hours at a time, and try to escape the madness that's going on all around us. And that's one thing that's why I always try to get into sports, because it's an escape for me, because there's so much negative stuff going all around us. If it's not one thing, it's another. I mean, even the weather, for crying out loud, it seems like the weather seems to be going nuts on us all the time. So you got murders going on, you got bad stuff going on, people losing their jobs, divorce going on. Sports is one of those things you just can escape for a few hours and just get away from the reality. And that's what I love about sport. And sometimes, that's why a lot of times I'll try to find something that's funny. Like I'll go to YouTube and watch, golf carts, people racing golf carts or tipping their golf cart, stuff that makes me laugh. I need to escape the reality. I want to either watch sports or I want to find something that makes me laugh. Those are the two things that I try to do.
Yeah, there's something about sports in general that is captivating, the consistency of it. There's a movie that my wife and I both really like. Jimmy Fallon's in it. It's called Fever Pitch. If you've not ever seen it, big-time Boston Red Sox fan, like a diehard. Like you think about me being a diehard Braves fan, this guy was even like over the top with it with the Boston Red Sox. Drew Barrymore's in it.
Right.
But one thing she asked him, they're in a relationship in that movie, and she says, "What have the Boston Red Sox ever done for you?" And you could tell he kind of processes like, "What? Wait a minute, like." Yeah, because their relationship was kind of in limbo in the movie, and he even said it's the consistency. They're there when I need them, and so I can relate so much to this. Just thinking back, of course, today is September 11th. Thinking back to 2001 when the terrorist attacks happened, of course, in D.C. And New York City, and Pennsylvania, everywhere that was affected, and it left such an imprint on my brain. I was a student at the time, had an awesome English teacher who made sure we didn't have cable in the classroom back then. Wasn't a very common thing at the time. Didn't have smartphones. So she said, "Hey, listen, something's going on. We're going to get up. We're going to walk to the library." Her name was Miss Stewart, wonderful woman. And she walked our whole class to the library, and we sat there and watched the events. We saw the second plane hit the second tower, and we were the only kids in school that got to see it because we had an awesome teacher. They said, "You're going to remember this the rest of your life. You're going to take something from this, and you're going to learn from this." And sure enough, we did. Unfortunately, we've crossed into a generation that didn't get to live through that has been desensitized through social media and accessibility, unfortunately. And it's not everybody, but the lack of guidance in our country, the lack of adult leaders, we need more. And sports are a great way to harbor that. And getting off track a little bit, get involved. Get involved in youth league. Go support kids at their middle school football games like we've talked about, Jim.
Man, absolutely. One of the things, and I'm going to go back to the 9/11. I'll tell you, one of the things that just irritates me to no end are the conspiracy theorists out there that they're making up stuff about what happened on 9/11. They weren't even alive, or they were in diapers when this happened, and they're trying to come up with all this stuff. I'm like, you guys are clueless.
Same with the Holocaust. We hear it all the time.
I'm like, you guys are you don't understand. You weren't. No, what happened was we found out what happened, and those people were responsible. It wasn't an inside job. It wasn't some conspiracy, or there was a bomb at the time when the plane hit. The bomb went off. No. The plane hit the buildings. The jet fuel was hot enough to make the steel weak to where once one floor started to collapse, it was a domino effect. These people, they come up with all these conspiracies.
Jim hates conspiracy theories, by the way.
Well, it's like the people that don't believe we ever landed on the moon. I'm like,
Jim, we didn't.
Oh gosh, don't go there.
I'm getting fired up. But now I wish Jacob was here because he'd go right at him.
9/11 means a lot to me. It was my daughter's first day at preschool, and that was the one time I didn't go to work on time. I said, "Hey, I'm going to be late for work because my wife and we both took Mallory, my daughter, to her first day of preschool." Little did we know what was going to happen.
And isn't that crazy? So many people tell stories from that day, not just like you and here locally, but people in New York City that for whatever the reason, their consistent schedule, their routine was altered for some reason. And ultimately it saved the people in New York's life that had those altering moments. But
one thing to
circle back to where I was getting at before I got off on my tangent. The thing that sports do that I remember regarded to September 11th was when the Braves went up and played the New York Mets. I remember George Bush throwing out that first pitch, going out there and just delivering an absolute strike. I remember Mike Piazza. Listen,
You're talking about the Mets and Yankees, right?
George Bush pitched with the Yankees.
Yeah, it was.
Was it Mets Yankees?
Yeah, it was Mets Yankees.
Okay, well, okay. I'm mixing two instances here.
Yeah.
The Braves lost to Mike Piazza in the first game back.
That's right.
That's what it
right.
was.
Yeah, this was the World Series though when he threw the first
right.
pitch.
He threw the first pitch. But I remember that.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Like I couldn't remember the significance of the game.
Right down the middle. Right down the middle.
And then like Mike Piazza hitting the home run that gave them the go-ahead win against the Braves up there in New York.
Yep.
And there were family members of firefighters and police officers that perished in the 9/11 terrorist attacks that were in attendance, sitting beside the dugout, down the lines, crying as Mike Piazza rounds the base. Things like that bring people together. That's what I love about sport.
And the Mets were wearing fire department hats instead of New York Mets hats and stuff like that. Just it was surreal. You couldn't believe this actually happened. And then sports was put on hiatus for a good week. The college football games and a lot of the. I think we did play high school football here in the state.
We did.
But I know the college games and NFL games were postponed for a week. But Major League Baseball resumed about a week and a half later, and then that weekend is when all this stuff happened with the Mets and the Braves. But it really just puts things in perspective, though. But sports is the ultimate way to escape reality, and that's why I do that. People that sit around and they sit there and watch CNN or they watch Fox, or they watch MSNBC, and they watch this news all day long, I think it's bad for your health.
Yeah.
I think you can get overloaded with
Sucks
all
you
this
in.
stuff. It really does. You got to escape. You got to watch something. Watch a movie. Watch a comedy. Watch an old ball game, for crying out loud. Go to YouTube and watch an old ball game. Watch the 1975 World Series Game 6, the Reds and the Red Sox. Bernie Carbrough hits a home run, and then Carlton Fisk hits a home run in the 12th inning. Escape all the news stuff because you need to. I think your mental health can only take in so much. If you watch that stuff all day long, I believe it messes with your psyche.
Yeah, if you immerse yourself in anything,
you
know what happens?
You can watch too much sports. You can watch too much sports.
You know what happens? You become passionate about it. You become a fanatic about it.
Yeah.
And we talk about being fans here a lot on this show.
But we got to have balance.
Exactly. I try not to allow myself to stress over my team. Sometimes I do. I'm guilty of it. But at the same time, listen, personally, been through some stuff this year.
Yep.
My family's been through some stuff. Had a loss that I've not been very, transparent about here on the show. Mm-hmm. But one thing that we've been able to do is sit down and watch the Braves every night. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we really love. But the New York Yankees are the reason I bring this up. They had their impact on 9/11, and once again, the New York Yankees held a moment of silence before last night's game with the Detroit Tigers in memoriam of Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA. And as a non-Yankee guy, you could call me a Yankee hater. Respect the tradition. There's not much in Major League Baseball that runs as deep as Yankee tradition. I've got so much respect also for that moment of silence, that the organization taking the time to do that, putting political agendas aside. We've seen some organizations in professional sports struggle with that. Mm-hmm. They don't know when to shut up, and they don't know when to speak up.
That's right, yeah.
And so a huge shout-out to the New York Yankees for doing that because they weren't worried about political stance when they did that. They were worried about the impact that it had on our entire country. We don't need divisive stuff right now.
No, we don't. We sure don't. I was really pleased to see the New York Yankees do that as well. They didn't have to do that, but they chose to do it, and to me, it really says a lot. And and I know a lot of people hate the Yankees and everything. It's mostly envy. Listen, I'm a Reds fan. I'd give anything if the Reds had 27 World Championships and they had an unlimited amount of money to buy all the free agents, but the Reds don't. The Yankees do. I don't hate the Yankees. I envy the Yankees. It is what it is.
And can I tell you why I feel the way I do about the Yankees? Because I would have loved to have won that 96 and 99 World Series.
Absolutely.
That's why.
I mean, the Yankees and Dodgers are at a different level, and there's nothing you and I can do about it. Now, I know some people, and of course, I know people like this. They're Alabama football fans. They're Dallas Cowboys football fans. They're Duke basketball fans, and they're New York Yankees baseball fans. And I kid you not, yeah. I know at least two people. They have that exact same. I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's called a front runner.
That's exactly what that is. Now, the Cowboys haven't been giving them a lot of pleasure here lately, but the Yankees are the Yankees, Duke's Duke, and Alabama's Alabama. So 3 of the 4 teams they follow passionately are good every year, and the Cowboys were good every year when they chose them. And here in the last few years, Dallas has been
And that's one thing though. Like, and I'll be the first person to give people a hard time over stuff like that. I really am. People that have their favorite, like Kentucky's their favorite college basketball team, but the Vols are their favorite football team. I'm like, time out.
I know.
Wait a minute.
Crazy.
But I'll say this, like everyone, like one of the good things about our country, you have the right to do that.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean I'm not going to give you crap.
I'm going to give you crap too.
Yeah.
But if that's what you want to do, you can do it. And I'm not going to dislike you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hate you.
So many different levels.
I'm going to give you grief about it. I'm like, you front runner.
Yeah.
That's all in fun. It's all in fun.
There's so many different levels of fandom. And that's one thing that I do get a kick out of. Because, and I can say this, I feel like I can justify my teams. I think there's something to be said for justifying. Like, I had a buddy years ago say, "You're not a Tennessee fan, you live here." And I'm like, dude, time out. I did not go to UTK. I have no direct relationship with that university. And some people, like, I get the geographical thing, the convenience of it, and the access you have. But now with social media, like, there's access to everybody.
I mean, Notre Dame's on TV every week.
Exactly.
There's not like you can't watch Notre Dame football. I mean, all their home games are nationally televised. Every game. I mean, they're not on ESPN Plus or SEC Plus.
Yeah.
They're on NBC.
Jim, you can go back and talk about when there was a game of the week and that's all you got to see.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, golly, when I was growing up, ABC had one game on a week. You watch whatever they were broadcasting, and if it wasn't your favorite team, then so be it. That's just the way it was. And then the 80s came when you got, ESPN came around and they started showing a lot more. And then now it's like every game. Like, I'm an Ohio State fan. I can watch every game.
Yeah.
Not a problem. I mean, they're always on every week. So it's no big deal for me because I'm going to watch them. But even when I didn't get to, that's my team. Listen, I'm an Ohio State football fan and basketball. I'm a Reds, I'm a Bengals fan, and I like the Cavaliers. In hockey, I like the Boston Bruins. I picked them when Phil Esposito was their best player back in the early 70s. Those are my teams. Live and die with them every year.
And see, I'm not as passionate about hockey, but there was a point in time that I got turned on to it. And I'll say I'm a Nashville Predators fan, and it is because of the accessibility and because I had some buddies that followed them, and we said, hey, let's be Preds fans together. Let's enjoy this together. And so I jumped on board with the Preds.
Kind of like Jacob with the Raiders.
That's right, exactly. Yeah. And so I jumped on board, and, man, I tell you what, the team with PK Subban on it that went on the run they did in the playoffs, that was so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
And so hockey, I'm a Preds guy, but when it comes to college athletics, that's where I get a unique stance because I can justify this. I'm straight up Notre Dame pretty much everything, but like I'm watching Florida State games. I don't miss many Florida State games because my brother.
Yeah.
I don't miss many Tennessee games because my dad. Like I pay attention to those teams, but they're not my teams. But I'm a big Iowa Hawkeye fan too. A lot of people don't know that
because you're a wrestling.
Exactly. Yep. And Notre Dame no longer has wrestling. I've grown up, just envious of Dan Gable and everything that Iowa wrestling stood for, and correlated to that, kept up with everything Iowa. Would watch Iowa basketball when they were on. Would watch Iowa football.
Did you watch Caitlin Clark when she was playing with
absolutely.
Iowa?
Absolutely. Before she was teammates with my girl Sophie Cunningham.
Oh gosh!
But you had
to get that one out.
That's all right. That poor team. They're so injury riddled right now.
They are.
They're all on the shelf. But maybe next year. But so anyway, like I can justify my fandomship, but I tell you what, we've got a lot of Bradley fans that are going to be listening here in just a second when we're joined by head coach Damon Floyd and the Bears, who are absolutely
on fire,
looking like a team to be reckoned with right now. And we're going to have him on when we come back here on The Drive on ESPN Cleveland 101.3.
The Drive will be back after a quick timeout. Stay tuned for more nonstop sports talk on The Drive, presented by Hardees.
Now at Hardees, 2 hand-breaded chicken tender wraps are only $5. Mix and match your favorite flavors like buttermilk ranch, honey mustard, and spicy. Endless combinations start with 2 warm tortillas, each filled with 100% white meat, juicy on the inside, crispy on the outside, hand-breaded chicken tenders. Any 2 wraps, now just $5. Hardees, goodness in the making. These items only. Price and participation may vary. Tax not included. Visit restaurant for details.
When competition is fierce, sports injuries happen, and Center for Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is here to help. Saturday sports clinics are available at our Chattanooga and Cleveland offices from August 23rd through November 8th for the treatment of non-emergency orthopedic injuries like sprains, strains, and fractures. Doors open at 9 a.m., no appointment needed to be seen by our highly trained physicians and clinical staff. Saturday sports clinic dates are subject to change. Check sportmed.com for the latest information. That's sportmed.com.
For the past quarter century, Mix 104.1 has been your home for UT Vols football. That's something to celebrate. Vol 25 is here. ESPN Cleveland 101.3 and USS are giving you a chance to win tickets to all of the Tennessee road games this season. Each Monday before a road game, you can register to win tickets to that Saturday's Vols game. Vol 25 is brought to you by USS. Visit USSTN.com/Chattanooga. For more information, check out our ESPN Cleveland 101.3 socials on Facebook and Instagram. ESPN Cleveland 101.3 is powered by Duracell.
Hey, this is Eric Gardner with Volunteer Rid-A-Pest. How does a small local company compete with large corporations? Not by being as good as they are. We have to be better. We show up on time, perform a better treatment, and are easy to do business with. Give us a call right now, 698-7205, and see the difference. Or visit us at volpest.com.
Google Volunteer Rid-A-Pest. No bug will survive. Call 698-7205.
It's our annual September sell down at Honda Cleveland, and it starts with finance rates as low as 0.99% for 60 months on Ridgeline pickups, and lease payments as low as $269 on Accord. Thinking about fall adventures? Honda Cleveland has the Honda to take you there. Paddle boards and kayaks look just right on our 26 Honda HR-V compact SUV, and at $279 a month, you can probably spring for some more camping gear. And speaking of camping, load up the dogs, the kids, and their buddies and take the road less traveled in our 2026 Honda CR-V Hybrid for $379 a month. HR-V 39-month lease with $34.99 down. CR-V 36-month lease with $36.99 down. No security deposit plus tax, tag, title, and fees with approved credit. Offer ends 9/30/25. Or if you need service, parts, or tires, Honda Cleveland lets you pay over time with up to 3 months interest-free. Come on in. Honda Cleveland, your car, your way, every day. I-75 exit 20, 1 mile east. Hope to see you soon.
Welcome back to The Drive, presented by Hardees. Join the conversation. Text 423-749-1013. You can also listen anywhere on our website, ESPNCleveland1013.com.
Welcome back to The Drive here on ESPN Cleveland. Discover your new favorite sweet treat, the Mayfield Dairy Ice Cream Bar. Now available in 4 delicious flavors: chocolate chip cookie dough, chocolate fudge brownie, caramel waffle cone, and cherry fudge chunk. Learn more at MayfieldDairy.com. That's MayfieldDairy.com.
And we are pleased to be joined by the Bradley Central High School football coach, Coach Floyd. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing good.
Fantastic. All right, man. So I got to see you a little bit today, although by the way, I got to say this. So, Coach Floyd says, are you going to ask me any questions? I said, no, I'm just going to talk to Kenyon. He just bailed out on this, man, like in a heartbeat.
Smart man.
I don't blame you. I'd have done the same thing. So, anyway, looking at the stats from last week, Kenyon Phelps, 14 carries, 82 yards, 2 touchdowns, all in the first half. It's got to be nice to be able to give rest to your players after a big first half like that.
It is, those other guys that, usually are scout team, they work hard during practice and have to go against those starters all the time. So it's nice for, the starters to go out and execute, and kind of had some things go our way. And, those other guys got to play. So it was nice. It was a nice win Friday.
Yeah, really cool seeing that Kenyon Phelps got the Player of the Week. And it's funny that Jim says that telling the story about you running away, because co-player of the week this week was Chase Stevens up at Walker Valley, and I had to do that one, and I had to tell Drew Akins to get away. So very, very different approaches there for me and Jim.
Yeah, well, I get it. Nobody wants to hear from me, so I'll let them guys do the talking. So.
Nah, I'm just messing. But, yeah, we like to throw a little shade at Coach Akins and his media availability, don't we, Coach?
Yeah, there's been a time or two that he kind of gets mad if you take up too much of his time. So we kind of, I think a couple coaches around the area give him a hard time. He likes to talk a little bit more than us. So,
it's all in good fun.
But he's good at it, so we'll let him have it.
So who else stood out for you on this past Friday night against Hardin Valley?
Well, let's see. We had three guys actually. We split the defensive player of the game from Wiley Suskowicz, who's on pace to become the all-time leading tackler at Bradley. Zane McIntosh, he had about a stat in every category defensively. He had a pass breakup, batting it down at the line, then he had a sack, and then he had a tackle for a loss. He had some tackles. And then I'm trying to think of the last one. Jeremiah Brownlow, who had the 98-yard interception return defensively. And then on offense, we gave it to Tucker Cook. He was 11 of 14, and so he was very efficient. Had some really crucial reads where he threw the ball in there when Braden Carroll was actually getting double covered. And, we called a deep post to him, and Tucker read it right and hit an over route, things like that, where he's improving. So, all around, I thought a lot of guys, you could name a lot of guys, and it was a good team win, like I said, and special teams went pretty well. Our kickoff team, I think we kicked off 7 times, and for the most part, we had 11 guys really running down there and giving great effort and taking pride in, special teams.
Coach, obviously this week you guys are up at Farragut, another region game. And I know we talked about this last year a little bit. Farragut's a game that means a little bit to you. If you could just kind of let our listeners know about that, your feelings towards the Admirals.
Yeah, our senior year back in fall of '95, it was second round of the playoffs, and actually went to 7 overtimes, and they beat us 65-64. They botched the extra point, and it was a bad snap or mishandled, I don't know, and then they scrambled out and hit the 2-point conversion to win the game. So that one kind of stung. Then they went on to the semifinals. I think they got beat by Riverdale that year in the semis, but, I always, when we go there, that's the first thing I notice is the back of that end zone where, we took the loss to end our high school career. So always a tough place to play, but, I've said this many times, Farragut's one of the schools that I have a lot of respect for because, of course, Jeff Courtney's taken up for his dad, Eddie Courtney, who was there, I think, 20-something years, and they just do it right. They're a first-class program. They play with a lot of class. They're a very smart team, very disciplined. So they ended my career in high school, but I do have a lot of respect for them, the way they run the program.
You got on to me last year for bringing that up, by the way. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I can't remember. I'm getting too old. I don't remember a lot of things.
Me and you both.
No, they're 0-3, but that's deceiving from what I've been reading.
Yeah. If you know anything about or keep up with high school sports, then the people they played are all, I think all top 5. Sevier County won the state championship last year in 5A, and then they played Powell, who always competes for state championship, and then Upperman's one of the top 4A teams in the state of Tennessee. So they've always scheduled really tough, and usually they win some of those games, but they've had some losses, but they've all been tough teams. So I would say they probably have the toughest schedule of anybody in the state this far.
So give us some players that on Farragut's team that the Bears fans need to be aware of.
Well, there's quite a few, and I'll be honest, I don't know names. I just, when I watch film, I'm looking at numbers.
Or positions.
Not very familiar with. Yeah. Well, it starts with their quarterback. Offensively, they're very multiple. They're going to give a lot of different formations and make you line up correctly, and their passing game's pretty sophisticated compared to other people you play, and so you can't just give them one coverage. We got about 4 or 5 coverages that we'll take into this game, and our kids have to do a good job of communicating and recognizing and lining up because those things change based on the formation you get. So the quarterback starts with him. I think any game, though, you got to stop the run. So they're not one-dimensional, I should say. We got to defend the whole field. And then defensively, they got a lot of guys that just line up right. And, they run to the football, like I mentioned earlier. They're very disciplined, and, they tackle well. So it's not just any one particular guy. We got to look out for all of them, to be honest.
Coach, talking offensively, I'm looking at your team, and I obviously was present for the Walker Valley Bradley game, and you guys have so many weapons offensively. What does it take for you to balance that and kind of figure out what your approach is going to be when it comes to calling plays?
Well, it starts, our guys got to be unselfish. There's one ball, and sometimes that's hard because you want your players to want the ball. Like, we understand that. But I think to this point, we've done a pretty good job of not worrying about who's getting the ball, being very unselfish. And, to be quite honest, really none of the 3 games have went the way we wanted and the way we planned. We planned on spreading it out a lot against Walker Valley and happened to get up, 21 in the first quarter. So it's like now we got to run some clock and try to get out of here and keep the ball out of, Chase Stevens' hands. But we've got to spread it around more than what we've done. So we've got to do a better job of that. And, of course, last week, we were up quite a bit at half and at running clock, so the guys only got to play half. But like I said, I think the first thing is unselfish. But, when you draw up a play, especially a passing play, we don't know who it's going to. It depends on what the coverage we get. We're not going to tell Tucker who to throw it to. He's got to make that read and deliver the ball to the open guy. So, obviously, we know first and foremost we're going to hand the ball to Kenyon Phelps. He's the first option on our offense, so they're going to have to stop the run first, but that should open up other things for us.
Do you ever have an assistant coach come up to you during a game and kind of give you hey, Coach, so-and-so hasn't touched the ball tonight, and you try to make a play where he can get a touch, or is that something you just don't worry about until you're watching the film?
Well, we do that during the week. When you're game planning, there's certain people or certain players that have, I guess their skill set fits certain plays better. Like a jet sweep as opposed to maybe a deep ball or a crossing pattern. But we try to mix that up a little bit because we don't want to be, everybody's scouting everyone, so we don't want them to know exactly what we do when we line up certain ways. But I feel we have a lot of guys. Spencer McCooch, he's very versatile. We put him at running back. He can run the deep pass, so we can run quick screens to him. So I guess to answer your question, yes, we do, but we don't talk about it in the game to try to make someone happy.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense. If the game's – like, for example, Walker Valley, we knew we had to run the football. We didn't know we would run it with that success. Once we saw it, it's like this is what we're going to keep doing to win the game. And, we're very honest with our players, and they understand that if we go to something that's working, you may not touch the ball as a skill guy,
right,
but the team comes first.
Coach, how does practice look this week? I know you're always transparent about when you're not pleased with the efforts on the practice field, and just kind of catching your vibe here. I feel like things are probably have turned a corner because you guys are playing some really good football right now.
Well, a couple weeks ago, I was very honest and said we're not a very good practice team. It kind of scares me to even say this. This has been a really good week of practice. I think our guys know what's at stake. Doesn't mean we're going to go win, but I think our guys are definitely focused, and it helps when you come off wins. You have some positive energy out there, and but the other thing is, let's be honest, we've all had our own fair share of transfers at every school, and guys that's not been with us, they don't know the offense and the defense as much as you would like. I mean, you practice, but you have to go through those experiences together. So I think it hurt us not only having one scrimmage, and then we've got some games under our belt where they know how we adjust to things. We know how, as players, they adjust to things, and it just takes some time to figure it out. So they know how we want to practice, what a Monday looks like, what a Tuesday looks like in game week. And I think it's just a matter of, getting out there and going through those experiences together.
Coach Floyd, before we let you go, obviously big weekend of college football as well. You got any surprise upsets that you want to predict here to document so everyone can say, hey, Coach Floyd called that?
Well, I think Tennessee's going to win. We're me and my wife, I don't even like to go to games, to be honest, but she makes me go to one a year, so we're going to go up there Saturday and, hopefully hopefully the Vols can pull it off. But I think they're going to win at home.
So we might see Coach Floyd tearing down a goalpost is what he's saying maybe.
No, I'm hoping I can get out there early so I can go watch the rest of the games on TV.
There you go.
Hey, man, appreciate your time, man.
All right, yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Coach Floyd, I tell you what, he talked about the lack of scrimmages. I bet he really wished they could have got more scrimmages in before that first game of the year.
Well, especially
because they lost that game to McMinn, and they had such a
close game.
Good early,
21-17 game.
They looked good early. They let McMinn back in it, but there were multiple times where I thought Bradley shot themselves in the foot. They should have been up by more than they were. It came back to bite them. And in retrospect, you're like, had he had a couple more scrimmages, maybe they could have worked out some kinks, and maybe they'd be sitting there at 3-0 instead of 2-1.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Week 1 against McMinn, that's a winnable game for them. Mm-hmm. And I say you can't always look at a schedule and say, well, so-and-so beat McMinn, of course, referring to Walker Valley, and Bradley beat Walker Valley. It doesn't always decipher like that.
Matchups, man.
It's about matchups. And listen, there can be weeks where, as a coach, you say, hey, I wish I would have done some things different. We've heard Coach Aiken say that in that Bradley matchup. Yep. And but looking at this Bradley team from week 1 to now, they're not the same team. Mm-hmm. It took time for those guys, those transfers he's talking about, to get acclimated, for him and his coaching staff to say, hey, we need to use Kenyon a little bit more. We need to do that. And you could see it in that game against Walker Valley. Once they figured out, hey, running the football with Kenyon Phelps is working, why would you change? Exactly. Why would you try to throw it? Yep. You prove that that you can stop it. And that, of course, results in next week your game plan changes a little bit. And if there's a coach that's adaptable to that, it's Coach Floyd. Yep. We saw it last year big time. He completely changed his offense. Due to injury, went from the spread offense to the wing tee, and guess what? They started beating people.
Yep.
That's good coaching.
And I asked him the question about, does he know has had touches in the game? And I knew that he'd probably answer the way he did. But coaches, a lot of times you'll hear, like you'll be watching a game on TV or listening on the radio, and they're saying, well, so-and-so hasn't touched the ball. The coaches are looking at the game in a different way than the announcers are or the fans are. They're like, hey, this guy is the best option for us right this minute. Whether the blue star blue chip player over here hasn't got a touch, so be it. This guy is being more productive for us right now, and this is all we're worried about is the next play.
That's right. Go with the hot hand.
That's
what you got to do. Yep. Hey, all high school football coverage here on ESPN Cleveland is presented by Food City. Big week this week. Bradley on the road up at Farragut region game there. Cleveland at home against Maryville. Mm-hmm. You need to go ahead and throw that one out there correctly.
That's a tough one, man.
Phonetically. That's a good team, though. That really is a good Maryville team and an improving Cleveland team. And then, of course, Walker Valley taking on the Chattanooga Central Purple Pounders up there at the MAC at Walker Valley High School. So, again, get out, support these teams. They're cheerleaders, their dance teams, their band. There's a lot of special things going on at all these games. Get out, support them. Let them know that the community has their back because, man, I tell you what, sport, local sports, our youth, that's the future, and that's something that we here at WCLE try to put a lot of emphasis on because it's such a fun thing and a great thing for these young students.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I was telling you, I was up in Athens today, went right past McMinn County High School, looked over there. Of course, you can see the stadium from the road there, and there's the band out there, doing what they do. Listen, we talk about sports, we talk about football, but man, the cheerleaders, they're practicing all the time. The band, they're putting in the work too. And I know we don't give them the love because we're talking about sports. I don't know if you could do a radio show talking about marching bands, but those kids do put the work in. Yeah, it is what it is.
The Jim Gum Marching Band Show coming up next here on ESPN Cleveland. Hey, also, by the way, middle school football tonight. Lake Forest taking on Northview at 7 p.m. Ocoee taking on Sequoia at 7 p.m. up at Walker Valley. And then Cleveland Middle at McMinn. JV started at 5, varsity at 6:30. So get out, support those middle school teams as well. With that, I think we're about all full here on the drive other than, again, our TVFCU Tennessee ticket bonus giveaway. Again, text your name and TVFCU tickets to 423-749-1013. That's 423-749-1013 for your opportunity to win 2 tickets to the Tennessee-Georgia game this Saturday. Jim, you got anything else for us?
I think that's going to be it. I think we're about out of time, aren't we?
That's it. Hey, glad you guys joined us once again. Have a great day, everybody.
Whirlpool Cleveland is currently hiring for entry-level production roles.